Okay, so before I put on the processor, we just need to be clear that we're going to process it and we're going to put it through a sieve so that there's no little grainy bits or vegetable texture left, because when you're eating a soup you want it to be smooth in your mouth and you're going to have the bite of the seafood, but you really don't want any crunchy little bits of carrot or celery that haven't quite cooked properly. So let's start processing. I put half the soup through the sieve right now, and I'm about to do the other half. You just process it the same way. So you can see the consistency. It's pretty smooth, but it's always good, just in case. You never know what can be left behind. So you just push it through like. So I'm just pushing the soup through the sieve. I've done half, and now I'm just finishing off the other half. You need to push it through with a spoon because it won't go through on its own. And while I'm doing this, I have the funniest story. In high school, I was actually learning French, and our French teacher actually was French. She came in one day and she had these snails, and she cooked them up, or she cooked them in the classroom, and no one would try them. All the boys were scared, and I thought, I'll give it a go. So I tried snails, and that was it. I mean, I'm happy to try anything. I thought they were good. Now, I've had them since, but it was amazing after that everyone else thought they'd better give it a go because it didn't look too good. Now, we didn't seed the tomatoes when we chop them, and you don't really need to, but if you notice here, there's a lot of seed, little parts, little bits of celery. You really don't want that in your soup, so it's best to sieve it. Now lastly, in a clean pan, we're just going to heat the soup up to a simmer before we add the seafood. So you can see the consistency is really beautiful now. And even without all the other seafood, those prawns, the shells have made it amazing. So I hope my French friends like my recipe, because it might be a little bit different to theirs, but it's all mine. Okay, so you've got the bisque simmering now. It's time to add some of the seafood. You don't want to add it all at once because the fish takes a little bit longer to cook, so without making too much mess, just put the fish in for about 2 minutes. Then we'll add the prawns and the scallops for about 2 minutes, and the calamari for about 1 minute. You can just leave it, but give it an occasional stir and just let it simmer. It doesn't need to be any hotter than that. Okay, so I'm adding the prawns. Now, these prawns are fairly large, so I might just pop them in for maybe 45 seconds, a minute longer than the scallops. Scallops really don't take long at all. And you don't want to overcook the calamari because it becomes really rubbery and tough. So a minute tops, because by the time you serve the soup, it's still going to cook the seafood because of the heat. And the last thing you want to do after all that time is ruin it by overcooking the seafood. Okay, so we'll add the scallops for maybe a minute, minute and a half. Now, if you don't get this right the first time, don't beat yourself up over it, because nobody's perfect and cooking really is trial and error, so just give it a go. Okay, so I've already added the calamari or the squid, and I'm just going to add a little bit of salt right at the end. I really don't think it needs too much. You can always add more later. I think, we can cook with too much salt and then we lose all the flavours, the natural flavours, so I'll just taste it. That's perfect. Okay, time to eat. I'm just serving it up now, and I really can't wait. It takes a while to cook. It's not the quickest meal you can make, but is so worth it. And just to finish it off, I just sprinkle a little bit of lemon thyme. It just smells amazing. It really complements the soup. And a little bit of cracked black pepper. Some crusty bread. And a glass of wine. And we'll just taste it. You have to make it. This is just fantastic. Bon appetit, my friends. Next time on Master Cook, my masterclass will be perfect for your next Sunday lunch. It's warm, wet, moist, and absolutely delicious. See you next time. Bye.